We are Muskegon County at Work, spotlighting workers of local governments throughout our county, revealing what it takes to make our communities comfortable and safe. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Muskegon Municipalities at Work. Your host here, DJ Hilson, and today I'm actually pretty excited about today's conversation, only because I think it highlights, for me anyways, when you collaborate with the state and are able to provide a service to the community based on that collaboration. And today I have the honor of talking to, I'll say, Detective Sergeant Nick Vander Molen.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. And so, as I always like to start these interviews out, or conversations, I won't call it an interview, it's really a conversation. I want you to talk a little bit about yourself. Your background, where you are, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. Born and raised here in West Michigan, a little town Allendale, just east of here. Grew up high school, college, went to college for criminal justice. Kind of had an interest in law enforcement, but at the time when I was going through college, there really wasn't a lot getting hired for law enforcement side. So maybe it was a little thinking federal side. Got out of college, just working some odd-end construction jobs, and then I saw a posting for state police. They were hiring, and what kind of drew me to them was they would pay for me to go through recruit school versus going to like a local college and having to pay my way through. So that kind of drew me in, and I was like, might as well go for the best agency in the state. Went there in 2016, so I've been with the state police for about 9.5 years now.
Excellent. And, I think so people understand how that, I want to start with sort of the basics, how people understand how that works. Yeah. Like you said, for the Michigan State Police, they actually have their own school,
yes,
if you will.
Yeah.
And people can see that school if you're traveling eastbound on I-96.
Yeah, so if you're traveling eastbound 96 by the Lansing area, if you look off, you can see the drive track, the big building. So every trooper that's working the road or has gone through before me, they've all attended a recruit school there. So I went to the 129th Trooper Recruit School. It was a 22-week school, and you actually live there Sunday night through Friday night. You stay there, you get up, you do PT at 5:30 in the morning, do breakfast, lunch, all different disciplines, firearms, defensive tactics, first aid, law, and then 10 o'clock, lights out, and you start it all over again. So that's the unique thing about the Trooper Recruit School is you actually live there, get a few days home on the weekend, and back at it again.
Yeah, and ultimately, I've actually walked through the Trooper School, and it's really kind of a cool place, a cool building. Yeah. Like you said, it's all encompassing. You're learning and training on all the different things in order to be a solid Michigan State Police Trooper. And then the graduation ceremony is always a cool thing because I've had the opportunity to experience that as well, where you get to celebrate all that hard work and effort, and then ultimately, when you graduated, where did you first get assigned?
So when I first graduated, I got sent back to the Rockford Post, which now is called the Grand Rapids Post. If you're on 96, it's off the Walker exit. Right after recruit school, went to the Rockford Post and got assigned. I was on field training, and I was over here in Muskegon County working for troops. I guess a lot of people think it's just highway. Over in Kent County, that's typically all they do is traffic on the highway. But over in Muskegon, you're taking any call that the Muskegon County Sheriff's Office is taking as well. So we do the closest car mentality. So dispatch will call out a 911 call, and it'll get sent to the nearest car. So that can go range from an assault, domestic, to just a neighbor dispute. And we're handling all of that.
Yeah, and so, ultimately, prior to 2016, and the real reason why I invited you onto this is I wanted you to talk a little bit about how you ended up getting, I'll say, recruited and then becoming a part of the Muskegon Major Case Team. which had actually been established around 2013. But how did you learn about it? How did you talk to me about how you get involved in that particular team?
Yeah, so I'll even go back to when I was on field training. I was working with Phil Marshall. I think you remember him.
Oh, I know Phil Marshall. Yeah,
he was probably one of my best field training officers, and we're helping out. One day we get a call to help out in the city with a search warrant, and he's like, yeah, we're going to help this major case team. It's called Muskegon Major Case Initiative. I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. And kind of talked with the guys. It was Detective Sergeant Harris and Detective Trooper Hartman at the time. And I was like, I told my field training officer, I was like, that's what I want to do. And so ever since then, I kind of stayed in Muskegon, working complaints, getting the experience of doing complaint work, just kind of working to that end goal to one day get to work on that team. And how they do it in the state police is, as a trooper on the team, it's a temporary position, so a 3-year, sometimes 4-year position. So that was kind of my goal. I was going to work my way there. So in December of 2020, I got moved into the DB at the Grand Rapids Post. I was a detective trooper there. And then in 2021, there was a huge spree of homicides, and they needed some more help on the team, and I got sent down as a temporary position to help out, and I've stayed there ever since.
So let's talk a little bit about the collaborative nature. Certainly, it's a state police concept team, but it's not entirely made up of state police individuals. Correct. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so when it initially started back in 2013, there was, again, a slew of homicides and violent crime going on in Muskegon. So my understanding was that this collaborative team with the county and local agencies all came together to form a team to assist with all these homicides. Just to help with the local departments that just didn't have the resources and the bodies to do all that. So right now, it's troopers. So I have 2 troopers on my team. I have a city detective. I have a Muskegon Heights detective. I have an ATF agent, FBI agent, and an ATF analyst, and then a MIAC analyst from the state police analyst department.
So now let's talk a little bit about this, what I would consider to be a relatively unique team, even throughout the state of Michigan, and certainly how important, at least since your involvement, how important it is to not only be a resource to other agencies, but also to I would say sort of be a separate eyes and ears in various aspects of a criminal investigation.
Yeah, so I took over as the detective sergeant back in September 2024. My boss before me, he did all the groundwork and getting everything all set up and the framework and all the hard stuff. So kind of when I took over, it's just, I didn't have to reinvent the wheel, just kind of went with the flow. But yeah, we help. Muskegon Heights generally is kind of our area of concern, and just helping their department with their major investigations and their homicide investigations, just due to lack of resources or bodies to be able to handle all those types of investigations, just because honestly they have so many. So we're just able to come in on the backside and help them through it all. At the end of the day, it's their complaint, and they're the ones that are turning it over to the prosecutors and walking it through court. But we're just kind of there on the back end helping them out and just being able to make sure that things don't slip through the cracks.
So let's talk a little bit about that level of assistance. What exactly, I guess, what are some of the assignments that your team gets to tackle as a resource to these other agencies? Yeah.
So say we get a homicide call that comes out middle of the night. I'll get a call from one of their detectives, and we'll get our team together. Usually we'll use our lab. So our lab will come down and process the scene. And from there, with the Heights detectives and our team, we kind of just go on a whiteboard and we're put down all of our tasks that we have, and we'll kind of just divvy it up. We're not better than them, so we're just trying to take an equal share of the load and just trying to make this so it gets a positive outcome in the end. So it's not that we're doing all the cool stuff and we're putting all the bad stuff on the Heights, but it's kind of a team effort, and we all work together and make this come together all in the end. Try and make it all pretty for you guys when we hand it over to you.
When we always appreciate that as prosecutors. So you talked a little bit. I mean, there's quite a mix between state, local, and even federal partners. So let's talk about that partnership and how that seems to work on this team, because there's a lot of different disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different. I'll say probably rules of engagement, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
How does that all work?
It's kind of unique because we have a detective from the city and a detective from the Heights. In Muskegon being so small, the Muskegon City and Muskegon Heights area, a lot of our crimes are intertwined. So people from Muskegon Heights are going up into the city committing crimes, and people from the city are coming down into the Heights and committing crimes. So just having that collaboration between the two different departments and then the state, just being able to share information is the big key to being able to have the success that we do. And then we'll throw in our federal partners, and they'll come in and they can help out in areas where we just have some gaps. Sometimes we don't get a charge that we like on the state side, and we have the ability to present it to the federal courts, and can sometimes get a higher charge.
Now, you also mentioned analysts. Obviously, as we further advance in technologies, you need sort of experts in the field in order to be able to manage those technologies. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we probably have the best analyst in the state police. He is just a wizard when it comes to knowing all the technology and what we can ask for and what it'll do for our investigation. He does a lot of training on that, especially cell phones. So when we don't know what we're getting or what to ask for, he's there to back us up. And just being able to have that resource, especially right in the office, is key to a lot of our investigations, because everyone carries a cell phone, and a lot of our investigations revolve around cell phone data. It's not all glamorous like you see on TV where it's solved in 60 minutes and it's all that exciting stuff. A lot of our stuff we do is stuck behind a computer screen, going through data and typing reports. But having that analyst in the office has been, him, he's huge to our team.
Yeah, I mean, it does make from a prosecution side, it makes it a lot easier when we're communicating back and forth between the agencies. But being able to have sort of that all in one, I guess, one stop. In other words, you don't have to drive to Lansing in order to get that done. It's right there. Mm-hmm. And I got to believe, from an investigative standpoint, that makes things move a lot more efficiently and a lot more quickly.
Yes. Yeah. Being able to have him right in the office is definitely the key to a lot of our success. We'll get some information from a cell phone provider, and we can just walk it right over to his desk. A lot of data that you get from social media sites, being able to parse through that. And, when we're out in the field doing stuff, he's back at the office going through reports from previous contacts with people of interest in a case or suspects. He's able to, pull up all the reports from Muskegon Heights, and the local departments, and be able to run their names through it and just kind of get a history of the person that we're looking at. And that's a big time saver for us. I don't want to blow his head up too big on here, because otherwise someone's going to swoop in and try and steal him from us.
Yeah.
But
well, they have to get through me first
yeah.
before that. So, oftentimes when I describe sort of what this team has meant to the community, I talk about a lot of what I'll say is street level intelligence. Good old fashioned, get past the technology, street level intelligence. And what has been your experience as to how this team has been effective in sort of understanding that? Like you said, I think you mentioned before who the players are, but just good old fashioned off the street intelligence. Yeah,
a lot of it is solved with just on the street knowledge. So CIs, or confidential informants, or snitches, if you want to call it, street talk. A lot of that information that you see someone that gets arrested for a retail fraud or has some drug history, you can go into the jail and we'll develop a relationship with them, and hopefully with that relationship we can gather information, and you call them up after we got a shooting or a homicide. You call them up and try and fish for them for some information, and usually that information leads to something else, and just being able to have that relationship with people in the neighborhood, people that have gotten in trouble before, and helping them through their cases to in turn help us. That's usually the relationship that helps further these cases too.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people who are watching this that may not even know that this team exists. But it's been in existence now for 12 years,
Yeah.
essentially,
Mm-hmm.
doing what I consider to be some really great work. I think what the community needs to understand is I don't think we get as far as we do on a lot of cases that we've done over those last 12 years without this team's assistance in the collaborative nature as a you've got a lot of smart people sitting around the room kind of putting their heads together and ultimately being able to tap into various resources depending on where they're coming from.
Yeah, and being a team effort like that is, when one person gets stuck on something, you got someone sitting next to you that can come up with a different idea or a different approach. And I just think being able to have the resources at all these different local departments, our Fed departments, being able to collab with all of them, I think that's what makes us so successful. I know I pulled some rough stats, and since 2013, we've assisted in roughly 76 homicides here in Muskegon, and I mean, our clearance rates is up there. I think like the past year, it's been 100%.
Yeah, and again, for folks that don't understand what clearance rate is, it's, crime happens, crime gets solved and prosecuted, and you're able to say, cleared,
Yeah.
essentially, right? As opposed to left open because, there's some loose ends or the leads, the information stops flowing. And, we, as an office, we sort of keep track of all that. And you're right. I mean, over the last few years, this team, in cooperation with the other agencies, has really knocked it out of the park, keeping our residents safe and secure, knowing that if something bad happens, we're gonna hold those accountable who've made those bad decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just again with the getting to know the community, being in there, not when it's just a crime, that's been beneficial too, because then people start to recognize us. They know that what we do down there, and they're less afraid. Because unfortunately, in those communities, sometimes people are afraid to reach out to the police because of retaliation or just it looks bad talking to the police. But developing those relationships down in the community has helped, and people get sick of the crime happening in their neighborhoods, and they want to put an end to it. So that's a huge effort.
Well, I think that's really important too. I mean, and I want you to sort of expand on that because one of the things that I know, obviously our local departments, but in particular Michigan State Police have been really good at lately is building community trust and community relationships. And that's not just when something bad happens and showing up and doing your jobs. It's the extra effort to build that. So talk a little bit about that, because that seems to me to have been started to be really ingrained in folks that are now coming through trooper school or other academies.
Yeah, because it's not just about writing tickets and fighting crime. We also got to give back and reach out to the community that we're actually serving. So we do a lot of different events. I know just recently they did a basketball game with kids of the community versus officers of the local departments and the state police. That's just a good way to interact with the community with a positive aspect versus, you're knocking on their door trying to solve a crime. We also do the shopping for kids during the Christmas time. You get to shop with a cop. I know that's always well attended and one of my favorite events to go to. And then recently with the development of the bike team with the state police, they've been doing bike giveaways. So you go down, they collect all these bikes. A lot of times we get lost and found bikes that just take up storage at the state police, and after a while they fix them up, give them back to the kids, or when they're doing these, the kids can bring their bikes and they can work on them and fix them. So there's just some positive contacts with the community to show that we're here to help and it's not all bad.
Yeah, I just I have since its inception, I've sung the praises of this team every chance that I get, because I do think, again, it's in today's day and age, sometimes we have to think outside the box. And to me, this is a little outside the box, even though, you're kind of doing what you've been trained to do. It's just doing it in a different way. But we're seeing the positive results as a result of all those efforts. And, certainly, again, this doesn't happen without people saying yes, not only state police, but also the locals. And they're not just along for the ride. Right? I mean, talk a little bit about that. I mean, they're rolling their sleeves up and getting their hands dirty just like everybody else.
Yeah. Since the start of this team, I really give credit to the command that put this team together, and then my boss who came before me, getting this all started. They did, like I said, they did all the framework, getting this all rolling, getting the local departments some buy-in on it. And then, now having the chief of Muskegon let that city detective stay on our team. That way we can share the load between us and the city of Muskegon, and now we have a city detective from the Heights. That way we're sharing the load. They're rolling their sleeves up next to us, working these cases. They gotta put the budget up to have a detective out there. They got a car that they gotta put up, cell phone. It all comes at a cost of the department, but it's also greatly, I would say, benefiting them because, we're there, we're in extra bodies to help out with all these investigations, so when they're getting bogged down with cases, we're there in the back end and we can help out and then make it all pretty and hand it back to them. And, so we're not here to take credit or, big brother them and just take cases from them. We're just here to assist as we can. So for folks out there, I'm going to say the hopefully some of the younger generations watching this, and they're listening to it, and they're like Nick, going, man, that's something that I really am interested in. How do people go up now? Obviously, you don't just show up and you're a part of the team, right.
But law enforcement in general, I mean, in today's day and age, there is a bit of a shortage. People are actively recruiting folks to get into law enforcement because of the reward that it can be for a career. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can't think of a single department that isn't hiring right now. So the Michigan State Police, they're always hiring. They're running recruit schools. They're trying to run at least 2 a year. So reach out to your local post, the Grand Rapids post that would be covering Muskegon. Reach out to the Grand Rapids post. They'll put you in touch with a recruiter and take you through the steps to apply to become a Michigan State Trooper, and they can put you through some exercises and get you ready for the physical training that you're going to have to take. So, like the PT test with all the pull-ups and push-ups and sit-ups, a lot of times that scares people, or Michigan State Police is known for their water safety class. I think that's a big one that always scares people, but I think if you just go in there with the mindset that you're not going to give up, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for you to be a D1 swimmer or like an Olympic athlete. They're looking to make sure you're just not going to give up when you get in the water. So I know that scares people a lot, but I know Muskegon City, they're hiring too. So you go down, you talk to someone at the front desk, and they'll get you set up with figuring out an application.
Rewarding career?
Yeah, so far it's been great. I mean, I don't feel like I'm working, so if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like you're working. And I can't say that I've felt like in my entire career that it's felt like work.
That's I think that's really important for people to understand. And again, as we kind of move forward in time, just the different levels of knowledge and expertise that you can bring, especially in today's day. I mean, a lot of folks are computer savvy, and there are plenty of opportunities to work in law enforcement in that arena because, again, that's kind of where we're at.
Right. Yeah, I think, people think that you have to have a criminal justice degree to, get into this career, but, you got people that have computer science degrees or accounting, and, those little things that you bring to the force, your knowledge of accounting, maybe you'd be good at a fraud team and helping out with all the banking stuff because you have, an idea of how that works. Computer science, you can help out in computer crimes, or just any investigation nowadays involves some sort of technology. So that information and knowledge that you're bringing to the team, it's beneficial, not just having a criminal justice degree.
Well, I think that's important to really appreciate. So moving forward, obviously, at least it's my desire, I hope it's yours, that this team remains needed, which I think it does, and sustainable. What do you see, anything future that changes what this team looks like in the positive?
In the positive, just hopefully our bosses see the need for us. I think our results speak for themselves. So as long as we have the budget for it, we're going to be down here. I can't see us going away anytime soon. Unfortunately, crime still happens in Muskegon, and that's hopefully what's what we're going to be here for.
Well, Nick, I as always, I really appreciate what this team means to law enforcement, but more importantly to the community at large. I think a lot of people don't know, which is okay, what you guys are doing behind the scenes in order to keep everybody safe. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your service, and I look forward to continuing to work with you in the near future here.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
You got it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our conversation here. I hope that today you were able to get a sort of glimpse behind the curtain as to some of the innovative initiatives that law enforcement is taking on in order to make sure that not only do we keep everybody safe in their living and their working and their playing here in Muskegon County, but we're holding those who are making bad decisions accountable. And that, to me, is one of the most important things. As always, appreciate you taking the time to watch and learn. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes coming up. And this doesn't happen without the ingenuity of one Mr. Mike Vogus.